Welcome to this session, Discover Improvement and Automation Potential in Procure-to-Pay Processes, with SAP Signavio Solutions for Process Analysis and Mining, which is part of SAP's Hyper-Automation webinar series. In this session, you will learn how SAP Signavio Process Transformation Suite, Solutions for Process Analysis and Mining, specifically, SAP Signavio Process Insights, and SAP Signavio Process Intelligence can help your organization improve and transform your procure-to-pay processes. We will cover the rising challenges and areas to improve in procurement, how process data can fuel process improvement and automation, an example around data-driven process improvements for procure-to-pay processes, an introduction to our SAP Signavio Solutions for Analysis and Mining, and a product demo. Let's get started. Procurement has a highly strategic importance for companies of all sizes, but it's hampered today at many organizations by rising supply chain risks and rising costs. Our first major challenge for organizations is having strong dependencies on just a few selected sources of supply. This poses a risk if supply chains are disrupted or if anything in the relationship with those suppliers is damaged. In fact, only 50% of chief procurement officers say they can quickly find alternative sources of supply, with the other 50% being heavily affected if the supply of goods to their business is interrupted. Many organizations also lack real-time visibility on their procurement spending, which is a big threat for keeping an organization's profitability in check, particularly now with rising costs in addition to supply chain issues. On top of this, a high percentage of procurement processes are still run manually, and this affects organizations' ability to operate efficiently. So, what are the main areas that need special attention in procurement? First of all, productivity. Increased operational costs to run procurement activities, goods arriving too late, and processes running inefficiently with low automation. Second, expenses. With the rise in supplier costs for certain goods and the rise in shipping costs, it is of core importance to optimize spending, on-time payment rates, as well as working capital as much as possible. Third, building business resilience is also key. Unplanned supply chain issues, lack of visibility on how suppliers perform, and the inability to react and adapt quickly, not being able to close agility gap. And finally, compliance. Organizations have to keep an eye on uncompliant processes or maverick buying. A chief procurement officer may face this situation today. Goods are arriving late, costs are rising, the company's financial situation is worsening, and suppliers are claiming late payments. Also, sometimes the company doesn't have sufficient stock and customers are not receiving deliveries on time. All of this is probably a supply chain problem, and the CPO might think there is not much they can do in these times of crisis. But what if a significant part of the problem is in their own processes? Data is trivial without intelligence, and intelligence is pointless without action. Process data can fuel process improvement and automation in a continuous loop. First, all we need to produce is contextualized process data out of the business processes. Then extract process-relevant intelligence business insight from the data. And finally, operationalize those insights within the business processes, triggering process changes to improve business outcomes, which will therefore produce even more fine-grained data to feed this virtual cycle in a continuous improvement loop. So, how do you achieve these data-driven process improvements? Where to start? First, you need to start leveraging the information that you have from ad hoc reports, transactional data from your systems, and the like. Second, you may want to start getting the information you know you are missing with process analysis. Think about process KPIs that show you the state of your business, benchmarks, and best practices. Finally, use process mining to discover information you didn't know you were missing, such as an unexpected way you are running your business processes, outlier variants of your processes, or processes that are not compliant. SAP Signavio Process Transformation Suite helps organizations streamline their processes with end-to-end solutions for process analysis and mining, specifically SAP Signavio Process Insights and SAP Signavio Process Intelligence. Let's take a look at an example. A purchase requisition to purchase order is created in a company. Then the purchase order will have to be approved and released. After this, the supplier sends an advanced shipment notice, which is generally transmitted via EDI from a supplier to let the receiving organization know that the shipment is coming. The goods are delivered, and the company confirms the reception of the goods. After this, the supplier invoice will be created and approved. The accounts are cleared, and the payment occurs either as an ongoing payment or as a normal payment instance. However, several things may not be working properly in this process, which represents hidden data-driven improvement potential. First of all, the creation of process purchase orders may take very long cycle times. There may be open requisitions for months or years stored in the system, which were never closed. This data is completely obsolete, but still appears and is visible in the reports and in the ongoing business operations, affecting the monitoring data. There may be loops in the approval of purchase orders due to free tax requisitions. These kinds of requisitions may be a constant cause of purchase-to-pay process gaps, impacting and creating work for teams across procurement and accounts payable departments. If you want to reduce these loops and reduce the costs and compliance risks they create, you need to be able to identify the source quickly and act fast to resolve the underlying process. After receiving the advanced shipment notice, the supplier may start a down payment request, submitting an application for an advanced payment to be made at a certain time. This variant of the process was not modeled. Also, the company may have some internal processes defined when this happens, along with an approval step, which is missing here and may cause trouble later. The delivery may come late from our supplier, and if the supplier's performance cycle times for deliveries are not monitored, this may continue to occur. When receiving the goods, the company may notice it has excess stock in the warehouse due to poor demand planning. Also, the confirmation of goods received may be done differently depending on the employee who performs it and may not necessarily follow the defined process steps. Bottlenecks may also occur at this stage. When it comes to creating the supply invoice to finally pay the supplier, the process may be slow due to low automation. The company may also identify non-compliant cases for how invoices are generated, or even cases of maverick buying. Invoices may appear that are not tied to an approved purchase order. The finance department may receive an invoice with no purchase order attached to it, which then prompts the question where the invoice came from. The approval stage may also be forgotten in some cases, and the account for a goods received invoice may clear without going through the necessary approvers. Yet another instance of non-compliance. Finally, payments may take too long and may occur only past the grid date, perhaps because of low automation, thus putting supply relationships at risk and your company may be penalized. Or payments may happen too early, unnecessarily tying down working capital. Process analysis mining helps you tackle all those challenges, helps you optimize spending and free up working capital, while reducing errors and improving productivity through process improvement and automation. Now you will see how you can achieve this with SAP Signavio Process Insights and SAP Signavio Process Intelligence in a dedicated product demonstration.
Now we are going to have a look at a real implementation of the process analysis and mining products of the SAP Signavio Process Transformation Suite applied to a concrete example, which in our case is a procure-to-receipt process. So let's start from the discovery phase. In the discovery phase, we have the SAP Signavio Process Insights product that can help us get immediate visibility into the most relevant KPIs and the most relevant metrics of the target process by leveraging SAP knowledge and experience about the target process. If we go and check the Process Insights reporting for this Procure-to-Receipts process flow, we can see that by simply plugging in Process Insights on top of my SAP application landscape supporting this process, we immediately get visibility on how we are performing in the various main phases of the process, such as across the 3 key phases of the process. The 3 key milestones for the sourcing of procurement parts, the supply chain parts, and the finance parts. And we see that we've currently got 3 blockers within the sourcing and procurement phase. So if we click on the 3 blockers, we will find out which among the various KPIs that the tool automatically measured for this phase are the ones currently not performing as expected, and which should be analyzed in more detail. So here we can see that we have an issue with purchase order items being deleted, and we also have another issue with open purchase order items that are overdue for delivery. If we want to understand a bit more about these issues, for example, the open purchase order items that are overdue for delivery, we can click on that KPI, and the tool will actually lead us to the concrete process instances relevant to the calculation of that KPI, so that we can investigate what happens in those instances and why are they overdue for delivery. It's important to stress the fact that this dashboard and those KPIs did not have to be modeled and built specifically for this process. This is content that is automatically available and that the tool pre-builds based on SAP's knowledge and experience in running these processes across thousands of different customers. So we have a library of dozens of different business processes that are ready to go and implemented within the product and can be applied immediately to your SAP application landscape. Another feature that comes pre-built with SAP Signavio Process Insights is a library of dozens of performance indicators that are gathered for your target process. Among them is a category of performance indicators that looks specifically at the automation rate so as to analyze how the process is currently performing where there are areas for improvement. So if we check the automation rate for our current status of the Procure-to-Receipt process, you can immediately see that we have an issue with the purchase of the item creation step where the automation rate is only 2%. If we want to dig deeper, we can see that our current automation rate performance does not look very good compared to the benchmark that SAP has gathered by aggregating data from all of the various thousands of global SAP customers. This specific metric puts our process in the bottom 25% of performance compared to our industry peers. So this gives us a very clear indication that we have to do something here because we have a lot of room for improvement and therefore a large possibility for saving costs. The product is not limited to just highlighting the fact that we have an issue with the automation rate when creating purchase orders, but the product also advises us about the kinds of actions we can immediately take to actually fix this issue. By clicking on the connection recommendations, we see that there is one available best practice action which, according to SAP's deep knowledge, would fix the issue. So I can click on the action to see the details about what the tool recommends that we do. In this specific case, the tool recommends training the process users to adopt a specific transaction on the SAP system that converts the stock transport acquisition items into stock transport order items. And it is even possible to automate that conversion by running a specific ABAP report, which again, the tool suggests that we do. If we adopt these corrections, KPIs will immediately increase. This is a great way to leverage SAP's years of knowledge and experience with thousands of global customers in running business processes to add immediate value to your own business process. The tool actually goes even beyond that, because besides providing correctional recommendations, we can also check innovation recommendations. So we have the possibility of going further and not only fixing the problem, but also leveraging this specific process task to deliver some innovation that actually does the process in a way that would outperform the competition. In this case, the tool is suggesting to us that we can, for example, adopt the Process Visibility Service on Procure-to-Pay to get immediate insights into the current stages of the process. So what is this service? If we click on the recommendation, we will see that it's a service in the SAP Business Technology Platform that allows you to get real-time monitoring on the current instances that are being processed for this target business process. So it's a tool that can sustain and help your operations team in fixing the problem before it's too late. Going back to our business process transformation initiative that we are implementing through RISE with SAP after the discovery phase, and after the prepare phase, we get to the explore phase, where we can further leverage process analysis and mining technologies available in the SAP Signavio Process Transformation Suite. And in particular, at this stage, we can dig deeper into the process reality by applying our process mining solution, which is the SAP Signavio Process Intelligence. If we check the current state of analysis of our Procure-to-Receipt process there, we can now launch our process mining analysis implemented in SAP Signavio Process Intelligence. So what is a process mining solution? Process mining is a technology that looks at all of the transactional data that is relevant for your business processes, such as records in your transactional systems, which identify some kind of relevant event in the process, such as, for example, the creation and approval of a purchase order. So we gather all the data, including also the timestamp information for those events, to tell us when those events happened. And then we run our smart engine on top of that data, and the engine will discover all of the different variants. In other words, all of the different ways in which the process was executed. Let's take a look at an example of the variants that were discovered for our Procure-to-Receipt process. In this case, the tool shows the most frequent variants. In particular, we can see that there's a main variant, which is basically the happy path of the process, where we go through the creation of the purchase order and its approval. Then the order gets released, we receive the goods, we create an invoice, and we pay the invoice. That is the normal flow. But you can already see that with a few of these different variants, particularly the most frequent ones, several events occur in different ways. For example, there are more than 700 cases where we block the purchase order just after the creation. And there are also 2,000 cases where, after good receipt, we return the purchase load item. And there are also 1,900 cases where, after we created the invoice, we set a payment block. Setting a payment block is something that, of course, has to be foreseen in the process. It can be normal in several different situations, but doing it 2,000 times out of 6,000 instances is indicative of an issue in terms of efficiency. So this analysis of the process variant allows your process stakeholders, and especially your process analysts, to perform a deep behavioral analysis on your process and on the way your organization is running it, which goes beyond all of the standard KPIs, metrics, and benchmarks that we know are relevant for your process. We can even discover things that were totally unexpected and which might be specific to the way that your organization is dealing with the process and might be something that your organization is completely unconscious of. That's the power and the beauty of process mining. After that, of course, we can dig deeper into the variant analysis so we can check all of the different variants that we discovered. So we see here that we are currently displaying only the first 6 most frequent variants, but there are several other ones that the tool automatically discovered. By looking at the most frequent variants, we can see that there are paths that might perhaps deserve some deep analysis, such as this path, where we are creating down payment requests and down payments right after receiving an advanced shipment notice. So again, this might be functionally correct, but it might also indicate that this process could be more efficient. Going back to automation with process mining, we can further drill down on the automation rates and find additional places where automation could be applied and improved. So in this case, the tool indicates that we have an automation rate potential which is above 77%. By using behavioral analysis and by analyzing the process variant, we can then further identify possible improvements, and we can further identify best ways and tailored ways to apply automation to your specific case. This was just an example, of course, of applying process analysis and mining solutions which are included in the SAP Signavio Process Transformation Suite to one concrete business process of Procure-to-Receipt. But keep in mind that these technologies can be applied across each and every business process, which is executed in your organization, both on top of SAP applications and possibly also on top of heterogeneous applications in other systems.
So, how do SAP Signavio solutions foster data-driven process improvements and automation for Procure-to-Pay? With SAP Signavio Process Insights, we have seen that you can get fast insights and fast-track your Procure-to-Pay process improvement initiatives with plug-and-play pre-built analytics and benchmarks for your SAP processes. Based on accurate insights, you will quickly identify inefficient business processes and receive specific suggestions for improvements. This helps you save time and money by ensuring you're focusing on exactly where you have an opportunity for improvement. You can also assess and compare automation rates with industry peers and leverage recommendations to improve. The solution highlights processes with the most potential for automation. For each of them, it recommends to you what you can do to automate and reduce the manual effort by suggesting appropriate SAP technical capabilities, such as SAP Fiori, machine learning, or robots that can assist you in your daily operations. SAP Signavio Process Insights provides you with a snapshot of process performance. With SAP Signavio Process Intelligence, you can then start discovering your process reality, including its unexpected paths. Perform in-depth analysis with process mining across several SAP and non-SAP systems, and leverage accelerators to reduce your time to value. You can also identify further areas for process automation on a more general level. Finally, with SAP Signavio solutions, you can improve continuously and monitor your results, adapt your processes by leveraging recommendations, implementing best practices, and understanding the impact of your changes by monitoring your main performance indicators, tracking the process, the data reality, and the metrics that matter most to your business. What are the main takeaways from this session? First, we have seen that procurement's high strategic importance is hampered today at many organizations by rising supply chain risks and rising costs. Process improvement and automation can help you build the necessary business resilience to face those challenges with confidence. Second, process data can fuel that process improvement and automation for procure-to-pay processes in a continuous improvement loop through process analysis and mining. Finally, number 3, SAP Signavio solutions for process analysis and mining. Faster data-driven improvements for procure-to-pay processes, helping you get fast insights, discover your process reality, and monitor performance at all times.